Joining me now is Nusrit Mehtab, former Met Police superintendent. Good afternoon, Nusrit. Now, these officers have shown a complete lack of respect for the victims and for their families.
Do you know what? Absolutely listening to this, and it's not the first time. We've had this in 2020 with the Metropolitan Police Service, as you've quite rightly said, with Bieber Henry and Nicole Smallman. And 3 years on, we've had it now with Nottinghamshire Police. This is not new. This isn't going away. And it's not about people who are, don't know how to deal with this, because there's lots of trauma support for them. So it's about the culture. And my heart goes out to both the Smallmans and the Webbers and anybody else that's been affected by it, because it's just disgraceful. It's not acceptable. And it also shows that this is a national policing issue. And so we have to look at the culture of policing as a whole. It's been covered many times, and it said, is the changes coming in. But what attracts these people to the police? Now, in the Nottinghamshire case, the interesting thing is there were 11 people involved, and some of them had nothing to do with the case. There were police staff, special police constables, police officers. And one of the things is that it's the son, in the Nottinghamshire WhatsApp group, it was the son of the chief constable that was involved in it. What does that tell you? And it is a she hasn't even resigned or moved aside until the investigation is going through. The issue here is that standards, ethics and professionalism is not being part of the culture, and it hasn't been a policing priority. Unfortunately, it hasn't been a policing priority since 1974.
Well, you're exactly right. It seems that this behaviour is endemic in all of our police forces, some of which are in special measures. But then how do we change the culture? If the police themselves aren't willing to stand up and admit and say, this is a problem, they all have police codes of conduct to follow, and they fall short of them every time. So how do we go about changing the culture within a system where they don't want to accept that there needs to be change because it's just a few bad apples?
Well, clearly it's not, and we know that. And I hate that term, a few bad apples, because that undermines the victims of any of the discrimination cases or anything that we've seen. So what needs to change is culture, and that's a good one. How do you change culture that hasn't changed for the last 30 years? You've had review after review. You've got mountains of reviews. Nobody takes any notice of them. What needs to happen is that professionalism and ethics needs to be woven in to every strand of policing. And it's so important because of trust and confidence that policing as a whole is losing, that they need to start doing it. They need to start putting in systems and processes that actually pick up these red flags. This will be considered a red flag with the 11 people that have been in Nottinghamshire and with the other two in the Met. But those two were, the ones that sent out pictures and referring to the two dead women as dead birds. They've been fired, quite rightly so. But there's other WhatsApp groups, because clearly that's something that the policing hasn't tackled. So professionalism, ethics to be the golden thread that runs out throughout policing. Deal with your recruitment. Policing has to now admit that it attracts predators and monsters. Once you get your head around that, because I don't think policing quite has still got it, they need to look at the vetting and stop these people coming in. But once they've got in, because there are lots of predators and monsters that are within policing that have just walked through the door because of everything that we know about vetting, about recruitment. Once they're in, what are your mechanisms to pick them up? How do you create a culture where everybody is safe to come forward and pick up these red behaviours and then report on these red behaviours? Now, the interesting thing is, and once you find these predators, what do you do with them? Because to me, they are predators. You engage in a WhatsApp group where you're using terminology that's just appalling and disgusting and dehumanizing and degrading, then you should not be in the job. However, if you look at Nottinghamshire, 11 people, one of them got sacked because he'd actually viewed the body cam, which he had no right to do. And the others have been given warnings. Those people don't need to be given warnings. They need to be shown the door. That's how you change culture. Make it robust.
Yeah, well, the person who was sacked for viewing the body-worn footage was a special constable, so not a real police
Yes.
officer, so to speak. So that tells me that the special constables are less important than police officers. There's even within policing, there's two tiers of policing. Then we'll protect coppers, but special constables, well, they can be thrown to the wolves.
Well, I don't believe that they're, it's two-tier of policing in terms of special constables. They get paid, so they're there and they have all the equipment. They wear the uniform, they've got the equipment, and they've got the powers. So if they've got power to stop you, talk to you, detain you, wear the body cam, then they're just as important as PCs as far as I'm concerned. And so there should be no tier. But we have to look at the person that was given the warning. And I do believe, if I've got it right, and I do stand corrected if you can, tell me otherwise, that the person that got the warning was the son of the chief constable. Well, there lies the problem. Where's the integrity in that? So if you can correct me on that, I'm quite happy if anybody can tell me that I'm wrong and apologise for that. But I don't believe I am.
I can't correct you on that. But one final question. Is it these messages, we can't condone the messages that were sent. It's barbaric, and the language they use is disgusting. But is it unrealistic for us to think that police officers, whether it's on WhatsApp or whether it's face-to-face in the changing rooms, that they're not going to have these kind of discussions when they're away from the scene?
It's about giving them the right support, trauma support. I mean, when you go out there and you use terminology such as that, that should tell you, get you into the mindset of these police officers. So are we saying then that when they're away from the scene, they can use that because that helps them, dark humor, whatever you like, that helps them to deal with the job? That's not true, because if you're dealing at the scene, and here's the thing, some of these officers weren't even at the scene. They had no right to be, they weren't anywhere near there. So they get the right trauma support themselves, because it is quite traumatic to be involved in anything like that. They're getting the right support, psychological support. As for me, we can't say, well, that's expected because, they're going to be sending WhatsApps like that. No. For me, there's a clear line. You don't do that at all. Zero tolerance to that. No excuses.
Okay. Nusrit Mehtab, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.